Okay, so this is part two. First of all, I'm mad at everyone who doesn't do what is precisely right because there's so much evil in the world and there's no excuse for not doing what's right. So I don't hate white people in that sense. Okay? I'm mad at everyone who doesn't do what's right. I judge people by the content of their character. And I judge groups by the sum total of the content of their character. And who stays in that a group that's doing the wrong thing and who leaves, I consider that as well. Okay? For example, if black people are doing the wrong thing and they're all worshiping the devil or something, and someone say, hey, you know what, I'm going to stop dating black people and I'm going to stop hanging out with them because they refuse to do what's right, okay, I would give that person his credit. And so it is with God's scale in the Bible. The world is doing the wrong thing. 1 John 2:15, don't love the world or anything in the world. Anyone loves the world, love for the Father is not in them. And those who separate themselves from the world say, I won't date you, I won't yoke myself to sinners. 2 Corinthians, okay, he's considered as not hated by God. As it says in the Bible that Esau God hated and Jacob God loved. Okay, so anyway, moving on. Some of the solutions here include an emphasis on moral precision. People are groupies. We see cheerleaders, extreme groupies, rock and roll groupies, rap groupies, okay? People in sororities and secret societies, the Eastern Star Freemasonry, said have many members. They're groupies. We see circles of friends and the kind of Valley Girl talk. They're groupies. We see political party groupies. Groupies all over. So if the culture changes to have a valid moral order, not propaganda, based on universal pinpoint and moral precision, and focused moral intensity, which white America rejects because they are fixated on social order. Why did they take slaves in the first place of another race? So they could argue that their race is superior and that the rich of their race are the masters of the universe or something. Why the slave codes? Why Jim Crow and segregation? So they could argue that they have a superior, that they're superior and that they should be in charge. Okay? Sabotage occurs so that people can make these arguments. Mocking occurs so that people can make these arguments. Workplace bullying, etc., etc., etc. What we notice is that people, when we talk about white denial, in part one I've proven that white denial exists because if they weren't lying to themselves about the fact that it's going on and that they need to stop doing it, okay, then it wouldn't be going on. Okay, so they're in denial. Fragility. In the first video I was fumed because they don't want me to talk about it. Okay? They're fragile when it comes to considering these things. So white people, and obviously I've proven privilege. I mean, what the hell? Black people own like less than 1/2 of 1% last time I checked, and they're 13% of the population. Okay? So they're in denial about these things. They have privilege, and they're fragile when talking about it. And some white people, there's a spectrum of white guilt. Some white people feel bad about this. But most of them are far too afraid to take a stand and say, this guy's right, and I'm going to team up with him. And, even though we have religious differences, okay, we have differences in life direction, they're not honest enough, they're not brave enough to say, this guy's right about this, and this, etc. And that they may or may not agree with me about my religious views, okay? Instead, everyone plays their controlled opposition role. So part of white supremacy is controlled opposition. It is the guys who spearhead the movements, the guys who are the masses of the movements, okay, that we see here. They are not sincere. The same kind of iron triangle of economics and sociology and politics we see with the lobby groups and the corporations and the politicians, the bureaucracy, what have you, okay? We see it with the political activists. Consider them an extension of the lobby groups, okay? They're bought and paid for, okay? When people marry based on these philosophies, they're bought and paid for by money, old money. The money is the root of all evil. How much worse is old money? It's the ancient serpent, the devil. Okay? And it is sick to marry and have sex with and date people who are bought and paid for by the devil, and people in cultures that have aligned themselves to them, and by proxy, by association, by grouping, are also bought and paid for by the devil. So in part one, I have proven definitively, okay, that racism exists. White privilege exists, white supremacy exists, and if you were paying attention, they're sabotaging me for pointing these things out. In this part, I have given you some solutions. They will reject these solutions because they are sex-crazed lunatics. Forgive my French, but there's an old saying that says, follow the money and the pussy, and you figure out what's going on. Okay? So why are women dating the way they are? Why is hypergamy more popular than ever? Why are there all these sex cults everywhere? Why are these liberals acting like crazed sex cult people? Why are these conservatives acting like crazed racist white chicks? Okay? Follow the money and the pussy. It goes back to megalomaniac thinking, egotistical fools who propound white supremacy instead of moral supremacy. And the Jews and the LGBT community are just factions of that same thinking when it comes to this activity, right? They have an order. They have a spectrum of guilt, okay? A spectrum of complicity, okay? And there's a spectrum of rejecting me. So instead of looking at it as I made thousands and thousands of videos, in the last 12 years, trying to do the right thing, and in all my YouTube research and life research, I haven't come across anyone else who's uncontrolled opposition trying to address things that matter most. Okay, God, starvation, okay, racism, morals, etc. Right, martial arts, the moral order. No one else is trying to restore an authentic and valid moral order, and I assure you, after I'm gone, it can't be done because there's too many ill-gotten gains, there's too much tech, there's too much blood money, okay? There's too much cheating, there was too much generational rebellion. Nobody deserves to be a moral leader after I'm gone. They're from a long line of people that shrank from adversity, right? Responsibility, emergency, emerge and see, okay? And instead they're elevating these white racist guys, the old money guys, a bunch of token minorities who dress a certain way, who speak a certain way. They elevate these old money guys. So it's like a presentation of evil pretending to be good versus moral application of what is actually good, okay? And everyone chose the evil category. It's selfishness versus selflessness for God, saying who you really are and embracing who you really are and washing the evil from your heart and trying to insist on a moral order and your place in that moral order. That's selflessness. That causes you to be persecuted. Selfishness is taking on an ego or an identity that the system wants you to take on, especially under the guise of doing what is right, because it's wrong. And that confuses what is right, and that's even more selfish. Suggest you watch both parts 2 times. See you in part 3.